Before the video begins, I just want to say that I have a new EP dropping tonight, midnight New Year's Day. It is the brand new You EP, containing 3 instrumental remakes of the song Brand New You that I released on my first album, The End, back in April. But with that out of the way, onto my New Year's Eve, the end of the year video. What is going on, chat? It's Maury Mortimer here. I just want to take this time at the end of the year to sort of go over some stuff, because I'm a person who is very interested in the idea of endings and impermanence and, what happens after things end. Because, if you couldn't tell by the name Maury Mortimer, death is a very prevalent part of who I am. And the idea that nothing lasts forever is a very core part of how I live my life and how I approach things. The idea that anything could end at any moment. Endings and death, in a metaphorical sense, are constantly happening. From a grander perspective, over 100,000 people die every day. I'm sure the number's way higher than that now, but it's a lot. And constantly, doors are closing and new doors are opening. So, with that in mind, the year 2025 comes to an end from when I'm recording this, just over 24 hours from now. So today is the last day of 2025. So what happened this year? At least in my life, because I'm only one person with one limited perspective, and if I go on and all the things that happen in the world, it's going to be a much sadder video than I want it to be, because endings don't have to be a sad thing. Because without an ending, how does anything begin? Something has to end for another thing to start. I think that's true of almost everything. But the beginning of the year, at least for me, wasn't very eventful. Just because it's January, things are happening, but I started the search for colleges, actually, because I'm 20 years old. I'm still in college. I'm not telling you where, because that's called doxing, even though it's me. I suppose you can't. I guess doxing yourself is a thing, but I don't want to reveal where I am. But I ended junior college, community college, whatever that's called, in May. And throughout the beginning of the year, I was searching for the right school to go to, because I was majoring in visual art and graphic design. And I was planning on doing that for my entire senior year of high school. I was like, I'm going to be an art major. I'm going to go to an art school. I got a scholarship from a wonderful school. It was an amazing place. But it was so expensive that I was like, I'm going to have to do a year at least of community college. Because I had enough, those high school classes that give you college credit, that I basically had a year done of college already, and I only had to do, a year's worth of classes at community college to get my associate's degree. And so I was already in January being like, damn, I already have to look for places. And I realized that an art major, studying art, isn't something that I would find fulfilling. Because I've been practically self-taught in everything that I do for my entire life. And I'm probably going to still keep teaching myself things. But also, This is probably the most downer. I hope I'll get the entire video. But with the rise of AI and generative artificial intelligence and all that stuff, even the application process to art schools were getting tainted by AI. And I was like, I'm not going to have a job market in 5 years. So that was the end of that prospect for me, as I was sitting there thinking about what classes I should sign up for, what schools I should look for. But I turned to my second great passion in life, because I'm a very passionate person. I'm a very creative, visionary person. I know those are big words, but I think big. Hence why I'm making a 4-part theory series on colors in Five Nights at Freddy's, and hopefully coming to some big conclusions. I'm actually recording this after almost finishing the outline for part 3, because there's so many ideas in that are going to need to be packed into that video that I need to outline it all, to organize everything before I even start writing a script. But I turn to my second big passion, which is theater and performance, which, I mean, hey, there's another reason why I'm a YouTuber. But theater has always been something that I find incredibly compelling. It's one of the, and I'm going to sound incredibly pretentious when I say this, it's one of the truest art forms. It's something that AI has tried to get into, you know, with some of those AI set projections that have been used on, like, you know, different shows throughout this year, and none of them have looked good. But you can't replace live actors and live music and live crews and sets and sounds and lights and costumes. You can't replace that with AI. You can only create tools that help the people on stage and off stage create a beautiful production. Because theater has a magic that no other art form, I think, is capable of capturing. And that's true of every medium, I think. One of the reasons that I was so captivated by visual art was all of these people that I've seen around me and online and in real life, and some of the people that I've looked up to that have basically built careers for themselves out of their sheer creative power. But as much as I, you know, love to put on a facade of entrepreneurship and, you know, wanting to become this self-made person and strike out on my own and become a big shot, theater it's a uniquely collaborative space where on the day of a show, and even throughout all of the rehearsal process, the actors and the directors and all of the assistant directors and musical directors, if you're in a musical, and sound people, costume people, everyone's always working on these shows. And like, well, now that I am in college and doing theater, and it's one of the most amazing processes throughout all of its highs and lows. So far in the last year, I've not gotten cast in a show, which was a humbling experience. I got cast as an understudy position, which now there's a position that doesn't really contribute anything. I sat in the back of so many rehearsals just trying to feel like I was contributing, but best you can do is practice and be prepared. I was on the costume crew for a show, which was so much fun, and I got cast in Cabaret, which will be next May, which I'm incredibly excited about. That's going to be such an incredible experience. Unfortunately, not the MC. I know, woe is me that I didn't get the dream role, but I'm going to be Hairman, so I'm gonna put every ounce of effort that I have into that show and make it the best experience possible. And that's gonna be a beautiful thing in 2026, but let's focus on 2025 still, because oh my god, yeah. This year was the year that I started hormone replacement therapy and started coming out to people who weren't my closest friends and family as trans, and started really developing that part of my identity, and feeling a lot more happiness because of it. I started that in April, so currently that would have been 8 months. Wow. As of December 15th, 8 months of HRT. It's been a beautiful journey so far. I don't want to get too intimate and personal with it, but everything has changed because of that. But in some ways, nothing has changed. I'm still the same person I was 20 years ago when I was born. But, you know, it's the ship of Theseus. If you take every board out of a ship and replace it piece by piece by piece, is it still the same ship when you have replaced every board? And I think what's the difference between a ship and a person is a person has a soul. And I've had the same core being inside of me for these last 20 years, that even though me 10 years ago would look at me in confusion and maybe even terror, at all of the things that have changed and the things that I've accomplished and done and become, I'm still the same me that I was 10 years ago. It's a weird thing. Now, some things, even though everything is changing around you, remain constant. And then the YouTube channel. Oh, that's nowhere near the biggest thing, I think, for me. But it's a big one. It's a big one. Because I started, posting songs onto it around August of 2024, and it was in June when I first played Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic, and I realized that I had something that could be made into something way bigger. When I was playing the game and I was looking at all of the things and the vibrant, beautiful environments in such an amazing setting. Secret of the Mimic is an amazing game. Can we all just acknowledge that Secret of the Mimic is so damn good? And I was looking at all the email logs as I was collecting them in the game, and I was on my second playthrough or third when I found some of those logs that called Henry Hen, and I was like, Hen? That's a name that I've never heard anyone call someone named Henry, which apparently it is a nickname that can be used for people named Henry, but it's rare. I don't often hear it. I usually hear Hank or Harry. I know a lot. I've known a few Hanks in my life, and yeah, it was that thing. I was like, Chica's Party World, Henry, Hen. And Henry's been largely associated with the color yellow over the course of the series, just by way of him being contrasted with William. And Fiona also wears yellow. I was like, it's what clicked in my brain. And then T-Dread started doing his streams about God, David, and all of that, and all of the stuff with he went back into Security Breach and was seeing all the stuff with purple and green, and I was like, oh my god, color theory is everywhere in this series. I need to make something about this. And I started writing and compiling ideas, and eventually that turned into chroma key theory, which has a litany of issues, mostly in the exporting of it and the like actual production of the video, because that was the first time I'd ever used Premiere Pro. Was chroma key theory. Yeah, I know. You'd think I make like a 5-minute test video just to learn how Premiere Pro works, but no. I made an hour-long video. That's my first project in Premiere Pro. And the file is corrupted. All I have is the audio that I used to fix the audio track and upload a new one, because at least that was something that I could do. And once chroma key theory is finished, sometime late in 2026, I will make a supercut of every video, put it all into one, get my FNAF theorist long slop in, and that will probably be my opportunity to remake part 1, and even probably make some adjustments to some of the points that I made, because I've changed a lot of them already, especially some of the stuff that I said about Henry, with the context of the new movie and how prevalent blue is, and how little I even talked about blue in part 1, and what little room there is to still talk about it. I'll probably talk about it in part 4, which is all about David, and that tulpa theory that I'm been developing in the background. Henry has so much blue that needs to be talked about, and still yellow, still a lot of yellow. It's blue and yellow, maybe arguably blue and orange, but it's blue and yellow for him that I think needs to be tied together in a way that I'll do in a video of its own. I'm supposed to be reminiscing, and I'm talking about theory crafting. But actually about theory crafting, in May, I released a cover of this dumb little song called Andrew is the Vengeful Spirit, and that is probably why I'm here making this video on this channel, as opposed to just going about my New Year's like I normally would and just being grateful for all the things that have happened. Why I'm talking about this at midnight on the 31st as the last day of the year begins. Because I made that cover and I uploaded it and I tagged T-Dreads on Twitter, and from then on I made my second version where I didn't say the forbidden word and then that blew up, at least relative to the triple-digit views that I'd seen. I'd be lucky if I got 100 views on a video, and that one got, you know what, I'm gonna pull it up. I have YouTube. Let me open up YouTube Creator Studio and see how much that video has gotten. 3.6 thousand views. That was insane to me back in August when I released that. That was the most that I'd ever seen, and I was already beginning to write chroma key theory at that point. And I realized that, I could potentially do something with this if I put in the effort. And to see, the joy on T-Dreads' face as he reacted to that video on stream, it's something that I've come back to at points when I need something to remind me why I do this. To think about the reason that I'm making videos now. Even so early in. I mean, I guess I'm not early in, I'm already a year into this channel, but now that I'm dedicating myself to this, seeing how happy T-Dreads was that, that stupid cover of mine made him smile. He was jumping around as it entered inside of him. He was like, this is, and he, like, I feel like I'm glazing T-Dread so much, and I feel like I owe so much of my success already, what little success that I have, to T-Dreads. It feels a little weird. It feels a little parasocial. But if I hadn't been in those stream chats, if I hadn't tagged him on Twitter, if I hadn't found that corner of the theorist community and just shoved myself in, I wouldn't have made Chroma Key Theory, and Chroma Key Theory wouldn't have gotten as huge as it did. 20,000 views. 20,000 people have seen that video. That's insane to me. And it wouldn't be if not for T-Dreads and God David and Andrew's the Vengeful Spirit and all of the other theorists that have served as such major inspirations, Gibby especially. And it feels strange now that I have success and thanking people for it, and now I have, now imposter syndrome's popping in and telling me, oh, why are you, giving so much credit to these people when you should be focusing on yourself and making yourself into the best person you can. But it's another reason why I'm in theater. I hate, as much as I hate academic group projects, and I always hated those in elementary school. I love teamwork. I love collaborative methods of things. It's the number one reason why I'm a theorist, is to be part of the greater conversation around this thing that I love so much. To be a part of the marketplace of ideas it was one of my greatest goals and something that I'd hoped to achieve. That Chroma Key Theory would be the first step into me entering the conversation, and eventually I'd break into it. But I found out that the conversation exists everywhere. I've made so many friends already in the last 2 months since I posted Chroma Key Theory, of all of these theorists online, big and small. The list is too big to just say here, but I'm so incredibly grateful that I already feel like I'm part of the conversation, and the only direction that I can go is upwards. I have so many ideas that I want to share that are even outside of Chroma Key Theory. There's so much to FNAF and other things as well that I need to dive into, to explore in ways that other people haven't, or even exploring the things that people already have and giving new perspectives on them, and putting those ideas into a space where people can think about them and engage with the ideas and being a part of that conversation. It's the greatest meaning that I could ever derive from content creation. Because people do things for a variety of reasons. Some people do it for the success. Some people do it for recognition. Some people do it for money. Some people do it for networking. Some people do it to build a platform for their later success. And, I have multiple reasons. I'd love to make money off of this. I'd love for this to be a way for me to support myself as I do the other things that I'm passionate about, like make music and write stories and make art. I just love being a part of the community that arises around theorists and speculating and coming up with the stupidest of ideas, like 14 theory. But eventually, I'm doing this with the knowledge that one day I will stop, and I can only hope that the day that I stop making content is because I was fulfilled and I'd made enough and done enough and said enough that I will be satisfied with what I've done. Because on the internet, there's so much regret. It's weird. As much as I go on and on about the impermanence of everything, there's that saying that the internet is immortal. That everything lives forever on the internet. And I do have some regrets. You know, not from recently, but from time long forgotten. And I can only hope that the space that I build, that the community that I form around the things that I make, is a community that I can be proud of, and that the people who are in this community can be proud of. That I and you who's viewing this, if you still are listening, I hope we can make a beautiful community together. And I'm so incredibly grateful to every single person who has become a part of this growing community. To every one of my, at the time of recording this, 1,225 subscribers. Funny Deltarune number. Every one of you guys, I'm so grateful for. And I hate to plug this, but it's part of the content creator lifestyle. But to everyone who has joined and will join my YouTube memberships, I'm that much more grateful to you for supporting me in that way. And to everyone who supports me in any way they can, it means more than you'll ever know. And on that sentimental, beautiful note, I've been Maury Mortimer. I will continue to be Maury Mortimer. Thank you all for watching. And remember, one day, you're going to die.